I want to show you my whole process. Planning, outside on location, post-processing afterwards in Lightroom. So welcome back to my office. First of all, that I don't forget it anymore, because of these two links what I forgot to mention, the weather maps and also the sun planner tools. I think it's the best when I link them below the video. And now I have something special for you, because when I imported my photos to Lightroom, I had a look at all the pictures I took, all the exposures, and I picked up two versions. The first of it you have already seen in the video. It is with a dramatic sky and with this light spot on the left on the mountain and with the snow on the foreground and all these things. But there was also a second time of the day where we had really a fantastic mood in the sky. It was short before sunset. You saw it in my B-roll when I was packing up my camera, where I put it down from the tripod, and I really loved this, and I thought, why not processing this one now here with you together? It's the same composition, only the snow was already melted and the light changed, of course, and also the clouds. So we will get another mood into this image, so we can compare them afterwards. I think this is really a nice idea. So let's go on. I always photograph in RAW that I get out the best of the image. And as I mentioned on location already, I did brackets because I was not sure if the dynamic range will be enough. And in this case, this is the raw file of the second image, what I want to show now. When we go with the mouse up here, we see that we have some little areas what are absolutely black. I have no problem with this, I don't need them. And also in the bright parts, there are anywhere some little parts, but it's really not a problem. We don't see, it's maybe 1 pixel anywhere, we can't see it. I can get away with this, it's really not a problem. So I will not make an HDR or something like this, I will work with this raw file. And the first I want to do is, I will make a gradient filter that we're able to see something of the sky. So I reset it here. I will pull down the exposure a little bit so that we see clouds, that we see anything here. And the next thing I will do is I will make a 4:5 crop. I love this format, it is more compact and it will really add to this image. So, and what I look for is here that the clouds are on a great position. So I will not cut anywhere here. It should give any sense where I make the cut. And I think I will cut it here. I have these lines here from the corner, also here on this side I have these lines. I have also clouds here from this corner and also here, really well balanced. So this is the cut I want to do. In the next step I will do a base processing. This means I will go a little bit down with the highlights. I always try a little bit. Okay, I will increase the shadows a little bit. I also will increase the whites a little bit. I will decrease the blacks a tiny bit. So this is my base processing. And what I want to do is, with the processing, I always try to simplify the image. And therefore, it's a great idea to reduce the textures a little bit. You shouldn't overdo it. I don't do something like this or something. It's only a tiny bit. -10, something like this. Yes, this looks great. And I also will reduce the clarity a little bit. Don't overdo it. Just a tiny bit. Something like this, I think. I don't will change the vibrance, but I will pull down the saturation a little bit. And I would say something like -30, something like this. It simplifies the image. It takes a little bit of energy out of it, and this is where I want to go. So as we increase the shadows and decrease the blacks, we lost a little bit of contrast. And what I will do here now is I will add this contrast by giving it a tiny S-curve. We will increase the highlights and we will decrease the shadows. It's not much, but we get more contrast now into it. And what I also do is, we have everywhere these dark areas, and these are really hard contrasts. But I want my image more in a kind of a painting, and therefore I try to simplify it more and to take out such extreme contrasts. And this is why I put up my blacks a little bit. So when you look at the black areas below, they get a little bit gray now, dark gray. So, and also the whites, I will reduce the whites a tiny bit, not too much. So, and when we turn it off and on, we see the difference. Well, I also will remove the chromatic aberration, and I will change the calibration of the colors a little bit. I will pull the green a little bit more to the yellow in this case. It's really not much. These are really tiny tweaks what changes really just a little bit here. I also will sharpen it to 60, and when you hit this Alt button and click on masking, you see the white areas are all the areas what are sharpened, and I think this is great here. And now I will go on to the colors. As already mentioned, I try to simplify the image, and this means I also will shift the colors a little bit together to get it more simple. So I will turn the oranges a little bit to the yellow. I will turn the greens a little bit to the yellow. I will nothing change on the yellows. It's really not much, it's only a little bit. But these little things are really then that things what makes the big difference in my experience. So we also will increase the saturation of orange. I will take the blues a little bit down. I will make the oranges a tiny bit brighter to get this foreground a little bit brighter, and also decrease the greens. I always try a little bit with the colors, what changes and so on, to get an idea what I will really do then. Now I will also increase the saturation of the yellows. So in the next step I will change the gradient filter, what we have created before. It was only roughly, and now I want to do it as I really want to have it then. So this was a little bit much, I think. I will do it like this. And I will also add a second one. Oh, this is way too much. Only a tiny bit. Maybe I will also decrease the clarity a tiny bit here. So in the next step I think about making it cooler or warmer. This is an important part because it is the vehicle for the mood, I think. So when we make it more to the cool, it will look something like this, and when we make it a little bit more to the warm, it looks like this. But I think it will come more to this as I saw it through my eyes when it was cooler. But I only looked on the foreground and on the midground now. I didn't consider the sky. The sky is too cool now. I want to have it warmer, because when you have a look at the B-roll where I packed up everything, I think the sky looked more like this. Well, now I will also make a gradient from the bottom, and we will also make such an effect like a vignette. I think we will do it like this. Also a second one here. Well, in the next step I will add a vignette. We have to be careful because of the clouds up there. This is way too much. I think something like this looks great. And I also think that this part here is a little bit too bright, and same here. And I will change this now with a radial filter. Reset it and pull it a tiny bit down, not too much. Let's give it a little feather. Also on the other side, more here I think. Only that the viewer doesn't look out of the image, that he stays in the image and looks back to the mountain. This midground part is also a little bit too bright, I think. So I will add an additional gradient. And we will reduce the exposure and also the whites a little bit. I only have a look on the midground now, because it will only affect the midground. I will duplicate this now, and now I will change these values to the plus, that it really affects only the midground. So in the next step I will have a look at the split toning, and I think for the highlights I will use a little orange to get this warmth into the image, what we really had this evening. Not too much, just a tiny bit. And I think I will also add a little bit of blue to the shadows. I often do this because of the scattering of the light in the atmosphere, and this is because we get blues in the shadows, and I want to increase these natural blues a tiny bit. So we will do something like this. Oh, this is way too much. We will go down a little bit, just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Maybe we could increase the shadows anymore a little bit. Usually I would go away now, do anything else and come back then and have a look again, and then I see things what I haven't seen before. I think it's something like cooking. When you put salt into your soup and you taste, and you put more salt into it and you taste again, and you do this sometimes, the soup can get really way over with salt and you don't taste it anymore. And it's the same, it's absolutely the same with this here. I think I will do one more thing. So in this version the mountain doesn't have a sunspot there, so I will make a radial filter over the mountain. Just make it a tiny bit warmer, just a tiny bit. We will give it a feather, not too much, and we will also increase the exposure a little bit, so we don't have this extreme contrast when it's too dark. When we look here now on the mountain, it is a little bit too hard. But when we have a little bit of light on it, it looks a little bit more soft, and I think this looks better in this image. So, and finally I will change one more thing. I'm unhappy with the crop. So when we have a look at the foreground here and also at the distance layer here, it is not really balanced. So what I will do now, I will change the crop more to this. Yes, much more better. So I'm not sure which of these two versions is the better one. Maybe you could comment below, what do you think? Was it the first version, what you have seen already, or is it this version with these lovely clouds up there in the sky? It's another mood what is conveyed in this photo. So it's more about happiness and such things. In the other version it was more a dramatic, melancholic image, and this one is more a photo of happiness. So I'm not sure, please comment below, I'm very interested what you would think. And finally, when I really love a photo, I do one more thing. I load it up on my website as a fine art print so that everyone can order it, and this really helps me to produce more videos like this. So you can choose any picture here, can click on it to have a bigger version, can choose one of the formats here, and you can order it. As already told, it helps me to produce videos like this. So yes, it was really a fantastic photo day. I had so much fun out there. Also when the weather wasn't as it was predicted, this happens so many times, and I think it's important to know what you do then. So you can't plan everything. You can make a plan B, but you can't think about everything because it wasn't clear that this low will come over us. The wind changed, and so we got these conditions, and I had to do a decision. But when you don't know what to do in such a case, your plan B could always be to scout for new locations when you're not sure what to do. But you can anyway try to take the photo then, what you have planned, because it could be that this kind of mood also looks great for that composition what you had in your mind. In this case, for example, I didn't have in mind to take a photo with happiness and happy clouds and something, but I think it's not all too bad. I think it's also a good idea to take more versions of a photo with different mood, also to understand what happens there and how you can bring which mood into an image and so on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If yes, please give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe to my channel if you didn't have already. So see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
I'm the landscape you need to see. You are the artist I'll never be. Stay with me and I have no doubt you'll make a painting that makes you proud.